All right. Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody, to the Rooftops of America every other Sunday live stream. Here we are tonight. I have returned from fun-filled week in Puerto Rico, and it was a good week. Before we dive into that, though, tonight's partner in crime for this live stream is a local at I want to call it media, but I'm sure it's called something else. Sterling Pig. It's their show at Pilsner. It's a pretty tasty one. So it's more Czech style than German style for those that are interested in that, which means it's got a softer taste to it than the more earthy German taste. And like I said, it's a good beer, especially considering it is so ridiculously hot right now here in Philadelphia. And I'm sure other folks have that going on as well. So we'll get in talking about the heat in a little bit. But anyway, let's see. All right, Pretzel. See message from before on this. You're going to have to refresh my memory there. If it was on this live stream, I didn't see any messages. And I'm glad you're here too, as well. Hi, Bill. How you doing? Hey, Eric. How are you? Traveling Ron Man. Hello. I'm glad you're here. Archie. Glad you're here. Missed the live stream. The PA meetup was fun. I did meet the Wandering Woodsman. Great guy. Had a really good conversation with him. And like I said, overall, there was that meetup. That meetup was really good, and I think Ron Man will concur with me on that. I met him there as well, and I mentioned that last time, but definitely want to follow up with some of those folks to maybe potentially do collab-related things. Surprisingly, in my entire time on the channel, I've never done a collaboration. I've done podcasts with other folks. Like I've done stuff with other people for their thing. I've never actually done stuff for my thing. So I'd be totally open to that. And I got to figure out what would be a cool opportunity, in which direction I'd like to take it. I don't know if it would be high pointing related. I mean, some of it could be easily enough. I know somebody, I can't recall, was talking about going up and doing New Jersey, and I need to go back up there and refilm that. The audio was so bad on that one, and that's sort of my backup summer plan, is because I'd probably even only have to do minimal touch-ups for the script because it was already at a respectable length, but better sound quality on that. And to be able to go to the top of the tower, I think would be nice. Yeah, it really was fun to meet up and talk to fellow YouTubers. I mean, the struggle's real. Everybody, whether they're established or just getting started, it's the same sort of thing. I think the thing that helps me a little bit when I'm talking to folks in that environment is my background is public affairs and communications already. So I'm coming into this, when I came into filmmaking, I was already a photographer. I already knew how to do campaigns, branding, write press releases, write scripts, write speeches, all that stuff. Like I came into it. I also came into this with a background in project management, which makes a huge difference when you're looking at production. If I would tell anybody, like, hey, you want to do this? You know, one of the things, especially if you want to film longer pieces, project management, those fundamentals are absolutely essential, just to be able to plan, you know, your project from start to finish. but we're getting way into like the other job here. But yeah, the meetup was great, Archie, and there was I think I don't know if I'm mentioned a bunch of folks on the last live stream, and I can't recall if I listed them in the description. I hope I did, and I probably missed a few too. But great channels to check out. Yeah, Ron, I would definitely. I think we should figure something out. I mean, we're both sort of in this this part of Pennsylvania, so I think it'd be pretty easy. So I know you're putting out more content more frequently than I am. So I would follow your lead on that. So we should get together and figure it out. Um, I know I need to follow up at Maxim Outdoors as well to get that rolling as well. So, um, all right. Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico was awesome. Again, that was my second time down to the islands. Um, it was I went down there. My goals, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go on vacation. And in the past, I've always been really good at turning out copy while I'm on vacation because I get in the mind, I get relaxed, I get in that creative mind space, and I'm able to just hammer out stuff. This vacation was, I'm exhausted. I came off vacation exhausted. Because there was a slight wrinkle in the plan this time, and that was my dad was with me. Now, my mom and dad, I love them to death, but they are forces of nature, each in their own respective way. My dad always wants to be out doing something, which is great, um, and which we did. I mean, it was awesome to be, rambling around, going on hikes in El Yunque, going on hikes in a couple of conservation and nature reserves in the immediate area of Fajardo. But because I was because I was hitting the trails and doing all that stuff, I didn't actually have a time to write a lick. I wrote like stuff on the flight down, and that was all she basically. That was the end of that initiative. The rest of the time was out doing stuff, and it was a lot of fun. I really, it's the first time. It's the first time I've ever really taken my parents on a family vacation with us, and it was. They traveled well. I was really. My mom and dad both had experiences that they never thought they were going to get in their life, so it was a huge success. Um, I got a great tan and no sunburn, so that's a great success in its own right. My hair is completely out of control, but I don't care because I'm coming off vacation and, it's all good. So while we were down there, we got into El Yunque, and I wanted to go to the top of El Yunque, but it was raining like nobody's business, and that didn't happen. But apparently the peak was also closed. That said, I did get some good drone footage of El Yunque, so I feel like I can finally sort of close the Puerto Rico episode. Like, we now have everything we have for that, so I can get that episode finally out the door. Um, let's see, what other things that were going on over the course of the past week. We went to San Juan, and that was awesome. Highly recommend. If you haven't been to Puerto Rico, give it a go. It's a great place. Food's wonderful. People are awesome. And it was just overall a wonderful, wonderful time. Let's see. I got those 6 high points. Hold on, I'm trying to catch up on the comments here. Marcy burnt me out on hiking, and that was the first one too. Down for the other high pointing YouTuber I follow made a video of a speed run of getting every EU member state. Awesome. I Saw a couple posts go up recently in the 50 states high pointing group of some folks out there knocking down some European high points. The one for Croatia I saw pop up. There was one for, what's the other one? Well, it's skipping my mind right now. New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Mass, Rhode Island, Connecticut was stressful to drive up. Some of them were awful. Yeah, that drive up Mount Mansfield and New Hampshire can be a little sketchy in areas. Is the final solar system episode is in works. It has been in works forever and a day. I really just need to get it knocked out. It is June. June's almost gone. I've been doing this thing for 4 years, and when I think about that, I'm like, oh my God, that's insane. But that started in June, like right after we moved here in Pennsylvania, and I just need to get it finished. I need to close the book on that one. And, the funny thing is, I said I need to close the book on it, except I've got all these little observations that I've noted that I want to do. I want to do, in addition to the series episode, which is, where the solar system high point is on Vesta, not Ceres, but Vesta. But Ceres and Vesta are sort of going out. It's going to be the asteroid belt. But I also want to do sort of an overview of Voyager, especially the fact that they just got Voyager 1 back up and communicating again, which to me is absolutely remarkable. Like that whole, when we talk about humankind's greatest achievements, the Voyager program, Voyager 1 and 2 have to be on that list. I mean, they just keep going. It's absolutely incredible that these two relics of the 1970s, almost 50 years old, are just out there doing their thing, still putting out scientific data. It's absolutely phenomenal. So I want to do that. There's a couple other observations like Deimos and Phobos. I'd like to do something on those. So the Rooftops of the Solar System, the last main episode, I really want to get it out by August 1st. The next thing that's coming out is Arizona, mainly because I was able to put that all together relatively quickly. And then Ceres is going to come out, and then New York will come out. As long as I can get to New York in the next couple weeks. So, and then you'll start seeing more stuff also. So that's sort of what you can expect over the next couple months from the series. Let's see. Bill, hike 13 miles today, trying to get in shape for Mount Marcy in late July, August. Yeah, I need to actually. I did get in hiking and I got my heat training in Puerto Rico, but I do need to get back on the bigger mileage. Marcy's going to be hopefully not this weekend, not next weekend, but the following would be. So 3 weekends from now would be absolutely ideal for me to knock out Marcy. And then I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling strong. But I think Marcy's really going to be a little proving point. Where is the USGS marker for Rhode Island? The main benchmark, if I remember correctly, there's several. So there's several triangulation discs, or with the arrows that if you're going in on that main trail off the highway, you'll see a little trail that shoots off to the left, a little trail that shoots off to the right. The actual triangulation benchmark, that's a good question. I'm going to have to go back and look at my notes. I should recall where it was, but the rock, the big rock down by that little clearing that's right sort of at the base of it. As you walk in, you got the clearing and you got the little house nut, but then there's that rock tucked into the grove immediately to your right as you walk into the clearing. That's going to be, that's where the high point is. Yeah, Bill, the rock at Jerome, that's where the high point is. Like, it's that rock. I don't recall a benchmark disc on it. I know there are benchmark discs that have the arrow pointing, but I don't think there is. I'd have to go look once again. I got to check my notes. It's been a couple of years since I did that one. Yeah, there were several other things. I mean, yep, that's right, Archie. When we went to a strange, or yeah, that Jerima Hill. So there's a witch story around Jerima Hill, like his sisters, Jerima Brown's sisters. So there is this little creepy aura thing that you could really sort of play up with that one. My next big hike I'm actually hoping to do is going to be down, since everybody's talking about their big hikes. I'm hoping to hit the go into Jersey and hit the Pine Barrens. I think, yeah. So there's a park. I have it up somewhere. I got to look which one it was, but West Mill Creek, maybe. And that's going to be, there's a good 10-mile loop I can put together and then add on. So I'm going to go in, do the 10, and then probably add on, depending on how things feel. So that's the one I'm hoping to do next weekend. A lot of it depends on how ridiculously hot it stays. All right, so comments are coming in fast, and I'm not reading them, like just scrolling down. Katana is the only eastern high point. It's Pretzel. I'm assuming Katana is the only eastern high point you got left. Nebraska is the last drive up. Everything else is, yeah. There's a little hill. If you want a good hike in Nebraska, go over to Scotts Bluff, and you could do the tourist thing, hike up top Scotts Bluff. When I reshoot Nebraska, I actually want to get the unfortunately named Squaw Mountain, because that's the most prominent peak in Nebraska, and I believe there is a hike up that one. So I'd like to add that one in. So, has there been subsequent successful summit expedition? I want to say yes. So I know somebody commented on it. I believe there has been 2 successful runs at least up Agraham. To answer your question, I want to say there was one, the 2018 one that Outside Magazine wrote about, and then there was another one. I can't remember if it was 2019 or if it was after the pandemic. I want to say it was written about on that 50 States High Pointing group. I know the name is on the tip of my tongue who led it, and I can't think of it. I want to say the person that led it actually was on the original expedition as well. Okay, the Greenbelt Trail is 20 miles. That would be a new distance best. A family friend of mine. Yeah, but you're lanky but macho, Archie. You'll be fine. You got all that distance runner thing going for you. So you'll be right as rain. A 37-mile hike outside of Pittsburgh says the hardest thing he did in his life. Tough hills. Rocks. They don't call it Rocksylvania for nothing. There's a loop my friend Curtis swears by down in Virginia. Why can't I think of the name of that? I'm still on vacation brain here. But that's about that same length too. So Sky for Florida. Then go through the trail to the mark, just a small platform saying it's the high point. Yes, I would definitely count that. Even folks, most folks count that as the high point. Going that's where the marker is. And the I'm never going to get insanely picky like some folks do when it comes to the highest point. Like it has to be, if you get to the top and you walk around that summit area and you don't necessarily stand right on the benchmark, you still hit the high point. At least that's my read on it. This is a subjective sport. It's supposed to be fun. It's your standard. I do think you should make the effort to get to the top, but there are thousands of people that have stopped at that Lakewood Park and stood by that gravestone looking like thing. It says the highest point in Florida right here. Boom. And, that's going to count. That's going to count for me. So, but other people, if they want to go check that out, more power to them, man. More power to them. All right. What do you think is the hardest state high point not in the West? Not in the West. If you were going to hike every single one, or you can drive it, because that changes things. If you had to hike them all, I'd think Mount Mitchell, if you did the 11-mile hike up Mount Mitchell, might give you a run for the money. Is a tougher one. Katahdin's no joke, from what I've heard. Marcy's got the distance. Plus, it's you really got to put your work on that. So let's see. Hey, Maxim Outdoors. I'm glad you're here. Hope everybody. Hope you're doing well. So let's see. Keep reading on down. I do Texas. I would say Texas is in the West too. I mean, it's when you look, it's way out there in the West. I was disappointed to say, because I was hoping like the next adventure my dad and I could get to was going to be Texas, when we'd go out there for my brother's graduation from the academy at Fort Bliss. And like, have you been to Guadalupe Peak? And he's like, yes. And I was like, what? We might still take him out there for a hike. So, you know what? Hopefully by the tail end of September at the latest, Pretzel, I will be able to honestly answer the hardest Eastern High Point, because I'll have done them all. So, I mean, I sort of saved if you're looking at that top 5 list of hardest Western high points or Eastern high points, I feel I've saved the 1 and 2 flip-flops, New York and Maine, for the very end of that experience. What would you say is harder, Marcy or Elbert? Once again, I'll be able to tell you, but right now I would say, for me, it would probably still be Elbert, because I'm a filthy flatlander coming from 500 feet of elevation, and then hauling this carcass up to the top of 14,440 feet or whatever it currently is measured at. That's a lot of work with not a lot of oxygen. So the trail might be a little more rugged on Marcy than it was on Elbert, but that whole elevation thing makes a big fella like me, I got to do a lot of work for it. So, yeah, let's see. Other things going on. New York, of course, and California. Tickets are bought for California. So that plan is that Saturday. I'll be flying out there from here to San Diego. My buddy Brett and Eric will meet me out there. Brett lives out there. And then Sunday morning, we're heading up to the Whitney Portal. I'll probably talk more about this as it gets closer too. And film like maniacs for a couple days and then make the hike on Tuesday and Wednesday. So it is, it's looking like it'll be good. I'll actually, terrible ideas, just talk to elevation is no joke. Going up to 14K is daunting, but the acclimatization can be done. This time around, I might have a little more acclimatization than I normally do when I attempt these things and try to cheat it. So not much, but some. Um, so we'll see how that goes. I will still follow the same thing I always do. Hopefully get plenty of good sleep and drink plenty of water. I doubt you can use the national park pass to get in the back, so it's a state park. So they'd probably look at it and be like, thanks, but it's going to cost you this much. So my altitude best is 12.3, so I'm curious how 14 will feel. Archie, I will tell you that 12.3, that last 2,000 feet, you're going to notice it. Like it's noteworthy. So, I mean, they say once you're at 14,000 feet, it's like 50% of the air what you get at sea level. So but you're a fit fella, you're a distance runner, so you will probably feel it less than a fella like me. Who sits here, drinking his beer and talking about cabbages and kings. So, yeah, right now the plan is over the course of the next month before California is to keep putting down big miles and get the pack into play now. The training schedule, basically, I started come July 1st. Every hike's going to be basically shakedown ready. So whatever I'm carrying for California for trail camp is what I'm going to be hiking with, just to get that pack feeling good, feeling broken in, ready to go. I'm super excited about that. So we'll see how that goes. I'll probably complain about it a little bit, but I'm hoping not too much. Yeah, so the big trick that I've always was told and has really worked well for me is good rest, super hydration, a little bit of Motrin before you go, and never let your breathing and heart get out of start racing. Stay in your zone. If you feel like your breathing's starting to get super fast, slow it down a little bit. Don't let your heart rate go wild. Keep that in the lane, and you will be more often than not good to go. So I'm so stoked for your Whitney adventure. Drink plenty of water for me. Yeah. Trust me. I don't. When I'm doing film days like that, I don't drink. Surprising. So maybe not surprisingly, but on a film shoot, regardless, no matter what it is, any alcohol is saved for the end. So I just don't partake until we are finished. So as soon as we get on site and we turn those cameras on, it's a dry shoot all the way. If there's a climb, all that. We have broken that rule once or twice. Like we did drink a St. Arnold's on the top of Guadalupe Peak. that I felt we earned it that day. But more often than not, it is we work, and we work hard. Like filming starts early, filming goes late, and it just we don't need to complicate things. Um, if there's opportunities to fly the drone, we all know the rules to that. 8 hours before from bottle to throttle. So you just you have to consider all that. So um, let's see. Try to stay in Mammoth Lakes maybe because it's we're actually in the Whitney portal from Sunday night through Thursday night. So we've got a reservation in the portal for basically, is it the 28th, 29th, 30th? Well, the 30th will be up at Trail Camp the evening of the 31st, and I don't fly out until late Thursday. Well, technically Friday morning at 12:59 out of San Diego. So um, it's going to be a wild and crazy red-eye flight back. So um, the only time we're probably going to leave the portal for the Whitney shoot is to go down into the Alabama hills and film there, because that has been, I think I've mentioned this before, but as a filmmaker, Alabama Hills is sort of legendary when it comes to Hollywood and TV shows that I grew up watching, like the Dukes of Hazzard that I grew up watching. That was filmed in the Alabama Hills. MASH, Alabama Hills. There's movies. It's just Rockford Files, Alabama Hills. Like there's so much stuff that was sort of shot in that area that I feel like if I don't shoot parts of it, I'm missing out on this great opportunity. So, yeah, there's that one arch. Yep, I know what you're talking about. So, let's see what else we got. A little late to the game, but are you going by yourself for these upcoming trips? So, not for California. California is myself, my friend Brett and Eric, and Brett's wife Amy. All three of them are longtime teammates of mine for Western Peaks. Brett, in particular, has been filming. He's filmed every Western Peak with me. So, and then Eric has filmed a majority of them as well. And Amy did Utah with us, Nevada with us, and California. So that one definitely not. New York, yes, that's going to be a solo outing, unless I can convince some poor fella. I was going to say poor schmuck to come with me and hike with the slowest man on the mountain. Katahdin's still up in the air. I'm hoping that I can convince my friend Matt, who has helped me film stuff in the Midwest, originally from Massachusetts, originally from Connecticut, wants to get back out east, go to Maine. I'm hoping Matt will be down to come out in September to do that one with me. But if not, Maine might be a solo effort as well. Is the NPS still giving a hard time about filming in national parks? So there was a good conversation about that at the YouTube meetup. In fact, that was the conversation the Wandering Woodsman, myself, and Mountains to Memories, and I can't think of the gentleman's name that runs that channel, we're actually talking about. Apparently there is a thing in Congress right now called the Explorer Act that has bipartisan support, and I believe it's already made it through the House. Hopefully it'll make it through the Senate relatively soon and get signed by the president. This would be awesome, which will sort of pull back the rules. I need to do some research on this before I can really comment on it. So let's write that one down for the next time. But the Explorer Act would allow the gist of it is that YouTubers, amateur filmmakers, um, people that aren't doing Hollywood projects, who the rules were originally designed for, can actually do stuff. And hopefully there'll be, it'll loosen things up, but still won't sell the farm, because we know that there are content creators out there that are idiots in our national parks. Um, and there should be rules, but um, they should at the same time be a little more. Um, it's when that original policy came out from the national parks, that was introduced in the 90s. We're 30 years from that, and it is a completely new world. It's a completely new media environment than it was back then. So, um, so yeah, technically, yes, to answer your question, the national parks can still give you a hard time for filming in it. National forests, different story. So us filming in the Whitney portal, that's national forest land, if I remember. That's Inyo National Forest. That I do not believe is national park land. Wilderness is where it gets weird. Um, Definitely no drone flying in the wilderness area. So, um, let's see. There's a handful of Western hikes I probably want. Team 4, obviously the Big Five, probably Utah's. It's nice to hike those with a little. I find it's nice to hike those with a little bit of a team, simply for the fact that, one, it's a great experience to share with somebody else. So, and two, part of the reason I love the Western High Points is it allows me to hang out with some of my best friends, so and do something substantive. So, did the Woodsman say anything about his high pointing plans this summer? Honestly, if he mentioned it, I don't recall. Um, we didn't ever really quite talking about. The thing I was actually most curious about when I was speaking to him was how he went from when I first had met him and started following his channel. Like, what happened uh, to all of a sudden just boost him straight up through, like, to this, not to the stratosphere, but like to go from this small little thing to all of a sudden uh, doing it well enough where this is his, when he's not teaching in the fall and winter, that this is what he does in the summer as a full-time gig. Um, so I was what I was most keen to know about. And as he commented, he had one video about walking through a cemetery that went viral, and that changed everything. All of a sudden, the algorithm starts picking it up, his content, and it just, that's all, that's all she wrote. So, um, yeah, so there is a rule against recording in national parks, but for private use, you're fine. It's when you're monetized and you're filming commercially. So technically, me filming in a national park, because this is a monetized channel, I am commercially filming. Um, and so they want they want to collect their $300 or whatever it is. They want, literally, it's a little ridiculous, and it just shows how out of date it really is, because they're asking you for your storyboards, they're asking you for your site locations on where you're going to shoot, they're asking you for stuff that would be something that, if you're doing a Hollywood picture, if you're actually doing a full-on commercial, going to be in the theater production, they're not looking at it. Times have changed. So it is a rule that's completely out of date. It's not in step with modern times. Um, Terrible ideas, you're probably right. All right. The problem is they don't see a difference between some. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. All right. Outdated legislation, outdated rules, outdated policy. So hopefully the Explorer Act, I'll have more information about that next time we talk. That for folks that want to do that and put their content out there, it'll be more in line. I'll be candid. Down in Puerto Rico, flying the drone, they were a lot more. It was a lot looser in the territory when it came to flying. It's still you're still flying federal space, G space, all that stuff, but there were no. It wasn't. The restrictions were different and a little more loose than they would be stateside. All right. Let's see. What else we got? Quick non-high pointing question. Anyone following the Olympic trials? I haven't followed the trials at all. Most of the time when I watch Olympic highlights, I get on YouTube and I see the stuff that NBC or whoever has thrown up, and I get that feel-good burst of watching somebody kick ass for like a 400-meter race, and they do it in a time I could never fathom doing something like that in, and I get that burst. So yeah, high school I ran 44.66 for 400 meters. I ran okay. I think I ran 400 meters in high school a long time ago. A long time ago, and my best ever, and I'm still proud of this. And you're gonna laugh, was 58 seconds. Which is terribly slow, which tells you everything you now need to know about my turn of speed. So, but yeah, 44.66 is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, nowadays, do 44.66 if I was, walking it 44 minutes, 66 seconds. So, but anyway, I hope everybody. We're running down. We're at 9:12, so I'm gonna wrap this one up a little bit early. Because, like I said, still getting over coming back from Puerto Rico. Awesome time down there. Expect to see Puerto Rico coming out. Actually, expect to see that one coming out relatively soon too. Now that we've finally got everything we need for it, you probably slate that one in for October, and I think that one's going to be a great episode. So, where do you hope to see the 2026 convention to be? That's a good question. Excuse me. That is a good question. I know it won't be Delaware. I'd like it as much as I'd love it to be Delaware, but it probably, and it won't be Pennsylvania because we had one here a couple of years ago. So if I was to guess, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if they did it in. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if they did it in Connecticut. Well, probably Massachusetts. I bet Adams, Massachusetts could easily support a convention. Adams could easily support a convention. New York, up in the Lake Placid area, could easily support a convention. I'm not sure what the facilities are around in Port Jervis or that area, but it wouldn't surprise me if they could do it. So we'll see. Personally, if they do it in Adams, that would give people an opportunity to bag just about everything in the immediate area. You could do Connecticut, you could get in Bish Bash Falls, you could do Greylock, you could do Jaramuth Hill. All those are super easy to grab. You could step out a little bit and pick up Jersey, and you can step out a little bit and get Mansfield or even Mount Washington. So on that note, let's wrap it up for tonight. It's 9:15. So Bash Bish Falls. Sorry, not Bish Bash. My mistake. Thanks, Archie. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. Great chat. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks, which means I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful Independence Day. Stay safe. And like I said, with this heat going on, if you are in the heat, stay hydrated and be smart. So good night, everybody. I appreciate you all. Cheers.